A stem cell registry blood drive is held alongside a Chinese professional baseball league game. We look into the problem of categorizing plastic items in Taiwan. Welcome to Diet Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. Former Chinese professional baseball league player Pan Zhongwei was recently diagnosed with leukemia, raising more awareness about the stem cell registry. In Taichung, there was a stem cell registry blood drive beside the stadium, and 2 male recipients were invited to throw the opening pitch.
Li Yani and Li Jieyu are both bone marrow receivers. They are the first bone marrow receivers to throw the opening pitch in the Chinese Professional Baseball League. Li Yani was diagnosed with acute leukemia over a decade ago. She received a marrow transplant, recovered, and gave birth to a pair of twins. She said that fighting the disease is just like a competition.
Just like an athlete's spirit, every time I encounter difficulty, I hope I'll have the spirit of bouncing back to conquer the challenges.
Li Jieyu is an athlete. He was diagnosed with the disease when he was 18. After receiving a transplant, only can he resume with his favorite exercise. He was very excited to be invited to throw the opening pitch.
I'm both nervous and excited. I've been watching baseball since I was a kid, and I'm also a big fan of sports. I've been in the school team since I was young.
Current sports correspondent and former CBPL player Pan Zhongwei, who was also diagnosed with acute leukemia, is also battling against the disease right now. This has raised more awareness amongst the people, and there's also a stem cell registry by the stadium with many heading over to register.
I have already registered before, but my daughter has not, so she also came to register today.
The volunteer will double check with your details, and it provides a sense of safety. They're very mindful.
It'll be best if we can help Pan Zhongwei find a matching donor. If not, we can also help others in need, and we will also be very happy.
We do not lose anything and can save another's life. I think it's very good.
The crowds are cheering for the match, and life is also like a match. We need each other's support. And for those waiting for a matching donor, all they need is your support so that they can have a second chance in life.
In Malaysia, Rosita Mustafa's husband went to jail for selling drugs and left Rosita to raise their 3 children. Unable to find a job, Rosita soon came to beg on the streets. When city volunteers learned of their situation, they soon helped her.
This tiny space where people keep the garbage before pickup is where Rashida Mustafa and her 3 kids live. When Tzu Chi volunteers heard of her situation, they went to investigate. The volunteers continued to look for her and finally found her near Kuala Lumpur's Taman Muda. Her husband has been jailed due to selling drugs, and now Rashida could only beg on the streets for a living.
Sometimes people give us food, otherwise I beg for it.
She's a single mother, and living in that garbage room is not suitable for her and her family.
Because I live in a garbage room, I often have to leave when asked. It's difficult, but I have no choice. I don't have money.
The volunteers cannot bear to see Rashida this way. Thus, they found her a place to stay with the landlord, who is also a Rohingya.
The landlord is quite glad she can help someone of her ethnicity. They've come to call each other sisters.
I'm much better. Living here is way better than a garbage room.
The family of 4 are able to stay at the new place and not wander anymore. Tzu Chi volunteers plan to continue to care for this family and help her change her life around.
In Penang, Malaysia, there's a 7-year-old refugee child who suffers from Bell's palsy. Due to his swallowing difficulties, he has been malnutritioned. Team members have reached out to this family, offering necessary help.
If he can recover and be like other children, I will feel better. When he goes out, people will say he is disabled. I cannot scold them, but I feel terrible. There is nothing I can do. He was born this way. As a mother, I know he feels inferior and he cannot tell us about it.
The 7-year-old boy's father is a Burmese refugee and his mother is Indonesian. Since his birth, he has been diagnosed with Bell's palsy and needs treatment. However, since his parents cannot afford the medical expenses, he has not received proper treatment.
2 or 3 weeks ago, TIMA members called me. They said this child has not been able to eat normally and his speech is impaired despite being over 6. In addition, this child is a bit malnutritioned.
Upon learning of his situation, TIMA nutritionist has been caring for the boy. They discussed with his mother about how to help the boy receive the needed nutrients when he has difficulty swallowing. They've also arranged language therapists to help the boy undergo language tests.
This boy is only 7 years old right now. Although we've missed his golden period for treatment, at least we can still help him improve his current situation. I cannot believe that after so many years, someone will help our family and our child. I cannot express my gratitude with words. I am very grateful.
With his parents' love and the help from TIMA members, the boy will not be alone on his way to recovery. In Hunan, China, Tzu Chi volunteer Peng Xiaobing held a very different funeral for his mother. Using Tzu Chi's humanitarian culture, he hosted a vegetarian feast to invite his family and friends to adopt a vegetarian diet.
To send off his mother's final journey, Tzu Chi volunteer Peng Xiaobing used the Tzu Chi humanitarian way, replacing the incense with flowers, replacing the firecrackers with sincere and grateful sharing. Finally, with the volunteers escorting the coffin, the funeral was conducted solemnly.
I'm really touched. Seeing all of you at the hill just now chanting the Buddha's name, I am very touched.
It's the very first time in the village in Miluo where a different funeral is held, especially breaking the tradition of burying the deceased into incinerating.
He instilled the city humanitarian concept into his family. First, there's no burning of just paper and firecrackers. There is also no sacrificial offering to pray.
After the funeral, there was a vegetarian feast. A chef was specially hired from Changsha to prepare the feast and insist that there will be no meat and alcohol on the meal table.
There will be no alcohol if we eat vegetarian food. We don't drink alcohol and insist that there will be no alcohol during the feast. After finishing the meal, they will still be happy.
There were over 20 tables at the feast and they all ate the vegetarian meals happily.
In our village, it's considered as a head start.
Besides completing his mother's funeral, he has also changed the tradition. For the deceased and the living, it's the best blessing.
Taiwan is considered one of the countries in the world that does the best recycling efforts. However, sorting plastic items is still difficult. The problem is that much of the plastic items look the same. Even if it's sorted by machine, there's still room for an error. What is the solution?
This is Taipei City's recycling branch in Gongguan District, and in May of this year, a new standard for separating recyclables began. In total, there are 27 categories, with 9 of them dedicated to plastic products. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not counting numbers. I'm reciting the resin identification code for plastic items.
Many of our plastic containers, including trays and plastic packaging, look very similar.
但是就是说，它外观长得很像。
不，这不能丢这，你知道吗？可是保特瓶不是也是塑胶？
No, let me inform you. In Taiwan, we have 7 different categories of plastic, with PET being only one of them. With this complicated system, do you always know which category your plastic is? This Mobius loop forming a triangle with a number inside is the resin identification code, established by the Society of the Plastic Industry in 1988.
那第一类PET 保特瓶的部分就是大部分我们的饮料。
The first type is PET, which is most of our beverage bottles. On the bottom, there will be this symbol with the dot. The second category is HDPE, and that's mostly milk bottles or like washing detergents. The symbol at the bottom has a line.
洗剂的部分会用 HDPE 的瓶子来做制作。那它常见的分辨是它下面会有，它底部会有一横的这个东西。
There is also number 3 and number 4. 5 is the most common seen in beverage cups, polypropylene, while 6 is polystyrene and 7 is other. There is also a non-recyclables bioplastic category called polylactide, PLA. Taiwan is among the top 3 countries in the world with the best recycling efforts, but plastic recycling is still one of the easiest to be confused about.
We see these are beverage containers which can be made up of PP, PET, or PLA. We don't see that much of PET kind because most are made into plastic bottles. Some companies will want to cut costs and have the body of the cup made out of PLA, while the lid is PET. This is why it's difficult for people to differentiate. Take this too. If you put the lid on, it looks exactly the same, except on the left is all PLA, while the other is PLA plus PET.
With PLA being more costly, some companies will only use it partially. Thus, it can confuse people and the plastics can easily just be mixed together. On top of which, the prices for selling plastic have dropped to $1 for 1 kilogram, making those who collect plastic to sell not willing to put in the effort to sort it all out.
That seller you can see, she sold her plastic for 74 NTD. Last month, that same amount might have paid her 100 NTD. In the future, buying prices for PET bottles will continue to decrease, and maybe next month, she might only be able to get 50 NTD for the same amount she sold today.
塑胶类你要去分，有些东西要回收，像厚的就要回收，它薄的就要丢那个垃圾车。对啊，不然有的也不收啊。对啊，像这种，这个边不收，垃圾车有收也不收，那怎么办？手里我怎么知道？
If the people don't sort it correctly when recyclables arrive at the recycling facility, a machine can help to determine.
The bottles go to our machine with the NIR, near infrared line, which helps to sort the different plastic categories. When it gets to our processing plant, we shred it and do a water separation to help us select the plastic we need, as different materials sink and float according to their weight. PP and PE both float in water.
NIR technology can help sort plastics, but machines are still not perfect. Thus, for those plastic reclaiming companies, compounded plastics are treated as garbage.
像 PET 然后 PVC。
For instance, PET, PVC, and PLA are all similar when sorted by the NIR technology. So if a batch of PET has PLA or PVC mixed in it, no one would want it.
PLA 或者 PVC， 那这批 PET 可能就没有人要了。
In 1995, to promote recycling, the government began to push for PLA items. However, the plastic property of PLA means it will break down into plastic resin in the natural environment, but not disappear. It also needs a professional bearing process to start the degradation. However, Taiwan's only processing plant for PLA closed down. So now all PLA items are just burned at the incinerator.
环保署要想办法用法规去。
Taiwan's EPA needs to think of a way to legally require a more clear way for resin ID to be visible, or to simplify the plastic categories into just using one.
引导这些贩卖业者把材质单一化。
With so much plastic products out there and the possible confusion of what's recyclable and what's not, perhaps it's not only important to reduce the use of plastics and clear identification of the plastic items, but the real solution is to have only one type of plastic category.
In Manchester, England, a house owner has been relying on living supplies provided by charity organizations. However, during the epidemic time, charity organizations have closed. Upon learning of his situation, Tzu Chi volunteers deliver food to him. They've also cleaned up his place, hoping he can live more comfortably.
This is before the epidemic broke out. After the epidemic started, look, 1, 2, 3 inches, 5 and 6 inches.
In just 3 months, this man has lost 20 kilograms. During the epidemic time, without the help of charity organizations, he only had 1 meal a day eating expired noodles. While he suffers from hunger, his living environment is damp and messy.
There are a lot of bugs. Look, the fluid left by the bugs has glued the book shut.
The water pipes are leaking and the ceiling is falling off. There are spiders inside the cabinet. Volunteers decided to renovate this house. The house owner is very frugal, and he watches over the volunteers, afraid that they might throw away his valuables. After some persuasion, he agreed to discard damaged electrical appliances.
Why was he willing to throw away 3 toasters today? It is because someone has donated a second-hand toaster. He saw that toaster, so he is willing to discard these.
Less than 5 volunteers renovated the house for 2 days, hoping the house owner could live more comfortably. As the volunteers reach out to this house owner, providing him with a comfortable living environment, they've also warmed up his heart. In Fujian, there's a Tzu Chi care recipient who suffered a calf fracture because of work-related accident in 2019. Since he could not work anymore, he stopped receiving treatment. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to this family. They helped renovate his house, install bathroom equipment, and second-hand air conditioner. Kanji and Tran suffered from comminuted calf fracture because of a work-related accident in 2019. His calf has been fixed with steel plate after the surgery. Since he cannot work and has lost his income, he gave up rehabilitation.
If I do not take the medication, sometimes the wound festers.
The weather is very hot and his room temperature is high, with asbestos tile roof. It is not good for the recovery of his wound.
Worried that Khan's wound will worsen, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to renovate his house. They first installed a donated second-hand air conditioner, then they also renovated the living room and kitchen.
We will make the countertop and move the washing machine inside. Clean these because it is very unsanitary for the kitchen to be like this. His mother cannot clean it up. We need to plan it well so he will have a better living environment.
In the house, one cannot find a bathroom.
The care recipient needs to walk 150 meters to the public restroom when he needs to go to the restroom. We're installing bathroom equipment to solve his problem.
Volunteers empathize with him and they work mindfully. When volunteers installed a gate, Mrs. Khan spoke of her feelings.
With the door, I feel very happy as it encloses the inside. Thank you for coming here every month. People are praising you.
The volunteers spent 16 days to renovate the house. Now there's cement ground in the courtyard and flowers are planted. Volunteers prepare noodle soup to celebrate, and the neighbors have come.
I really appreciate Tzu Chi volunteers. It is 100 times better. Without your help, my elder sister would not have such a good environment. Thank you. With your help, this house has improved a lot. Everyone can tell the difference. We are also very grateful. Thank you very much.
After the renovation, the clean house is refreshing and comfortable. The mother-son pair can now enjoy better life quality. In Taiwan, there's a Tzu Chi recipient whose husband died of cancer. When Tzu Chi volunteers first reached out to her, she thought that she should save the resources for someone less fortunate than her. After Tzu Chi volunteers provided her with financial aid and care, she has cherished the help and their companionship.
太沉了那个筋，但是你会觉得时常的肩颈会很紧，对不对？
对。
我真的没有办法去接受。
I could not accept his death. Back then, when the hospital wanted to refer me to Tzu Chi, I was hesitant. But the volunteer at Taiwan University Hospital told me, at least there will be someone to accompany you and talk with you.
有人关怀你，陪你说说心事。
议会，议会，哎呦，我在，我进来了吗？在。
有整罐的酥油吗？
更便宜。
我们
你买这一颗不是很贵，你跟我讲啊。
我就想说每次都麻烦你啊。
不会啊，我买才2.7，你买一个要5块哎。
好像哎。
对呀，贵1倍耶。
对啊。我为什么当初我不会跟师姐他们？
Initially, I did not tell the Tzu Chi volunteers that I was in need of financial assistance because I thought I'd rather borrow money from someone else. I should not take advantage of Tzu Chi's help. I thought Tzu Chi should be helping someone less fortunate than me. I thought just let them give me spiritual support. Later on, I ended up still accepting their monetary aid.
对，所以后面还是接受了。
那时候就是说，为了给议会有多一点的收入，所以有来。
有师兄多的有鼓励我，然后在他最不舒服的时候，所以
突然就会出现，
对，就会出现，对，
真的是非常不舒服。那个师傅手一按下去，他就知道说，哦，你这个太紧了哦，太硬了哦，我教他说小力一点，他说没有，
我没有出力，
有没有出力？
岁末祝福的时候，一个陈先生。
At the Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremony, I saw Mr. Chen, who lost his vision all of a sudden.
I can no longer see now. I do not want to worry my parents. I do not live with my parents because I don't want to be a burden to them. I can make a living on my own now.
所以我就觉得，人家本来是他眼睛好好，然后突然间他看不到，他都可以。
I saw that his eyes were once functioning, and then suddenly he lost his vision. Despite that, he rose above life's challenges with bravery. Although I lost someone I love deeply, I must carry on. I've promised him that I will support this family and protect his beloved daughter, so I must continue to be strong for her.
我要把这个家撑起来，然后保护他最爱的女儿，那我一定要做下去。
In Taiwan, Yuan Da Cultural Foundation has initiated a public welfare plan. At the final presentation, some teachers and students have invented a robot to prevent the epidemic. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.